Let's get back to our conversation here in the studio. Roy, I'd like to start with you and talk about the fact of the real research behind arts and education and helping students that Mr. Bullock was just talking about. Is this something that you talk about with students at IU who are looking to be arts teachers?
Yeah, we explicitly talk about the research, and we talk about the types of things that the arts do to support the other academic areas. Also, we talk about the things outside of the school that the arts do. Self-confidence, the idea of self-awareness, the idea of self-expression. Those things are all really important. In fact, we really are starting to move more towards improving or including more of that in our program as we see this reduction taking place and the importance of the arts. And the better our students understand it, the more likely they are to vocalize it to future administrators.
How are you dealing within the School of Education with the reality that we're facing right now with reduction in force all across the nation, not just here in Indiana? How are we dealing with that, with helping these students train and find jobs?
We've actually been on a couple years trajectory now where we're broadening the program offerings. And so we're no longer are we just concentrating on public school teaching or teaching in general, but we're looking at community-based as well programs and museum education. And so we're sort of broadening the field a little bit and preparing our students in a little bit broader path so they might have more options in the future.
Are we seeing more students going into these programs now or not?
No. In fact, our current students are really nervous because of the reduction in force and with the changes in Indiana licensure law. We're seeing those students nervous, and we're seeing more students who are inquiring before they enter the program. So the numbers are not smaller yet, but we suspect they're going to shrink slightly.
Okay. And Kelly, before the show actually started, Roy was talking about the fact that we're actually now having to broaden our horizons a little bit for arts educators. Is this something that you're looking to do now that you don't have a job?
Well, I mean, I was nervous when I went into the program. I went in as a 30-year-old. I didn't go in as an 18-year-old. I went in, it was my choice of career. I busted through it. My family suffered waiting for me to get finished with school. And I was lucky enough to get a job right out of school. I was ecstatic. But I did know in the back of my mind that there was a possibility, because I knew I was the last person hired, that I might not have a job. So I'm not really planning on going back to school or changing. I'm going to offer school or offer art after school for kids. I've rented a space, and I'm going to be offering that during the summer as well. And then I also will bring it into adults as well. So it will be sort of a cooperative run art school for kids and adults. But my primary focus will be teaching the kids.
John, this goes back to the fact that, you know, here we are, we're reducing force, and sometimes it's going to mean larger class sizes and that kind of thing. Do you see more community-based organizations trying to fill the gaps? Are you hoping for that? Is that something that you have thought about and from an administrative point of view?
Well, any type of productive education is something that we're interested in. And currently in Monroe County Community Schools, we're trying to engage our community for them to tell us what type of programming they would like to see as valuable in our schools. And so how much of that can the school district afford, and then what sets outside of that the school district can't afford. And I think that you'll see a referendum in place asking our public to step forward and say, do you value public education, and will you support it through a referendum effort? And hopefully, if we can be successful in a referendum effort, we'll be able to take care of restoring programs that the community sees as being valuable in their public schools going forward. And that referendum could stand for as long as 7 years.
Well, that's good. That was coming to my next point. It's kind of the what next point. Roy, what do you see as the next step in terms of educating these teachers and helping them find jobs, and what is the School of Education trying to do to help them?
The School of Education is actually currently reformulating a lot of the programs because of the relicensure issues and the statutes being changed. And particularly in art education, again, we're doing our best to do that broadening. prepare our students to work in as many possible fields as they can get employment in. And we just try to do a really good job of preparing them to enter into the workforce wherever it may be, so that they're confident and capable.
Well, actually, Stan has a question for John. Stan, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, Dr. Koopman, I wanted to ask about the referendum. I wonder if you see this referendum process, especially in the next few years here where money is still expected to be tight for schools across Indiana, becoming a common thing that some school districts could do year in and year out to try to make their budgets meet and not have to RIF quite so many employees.
Well, Indiana has not been a referendum or millage state before now. And when the state of Indiana took over funding the general fund budget 2 years ago, and then took the property tax support and replaced it with sales and income tax, and as long as the economy is in the state that it is and people don't have jobs, therefore they don't have income, without income they can't buy things, and so there's no sales tax, I don't think we're going to have any other choice than to ask our local communities to fund public education outside of what the state is allocating for their obligation. And obviously, since that's new, we're all learning in relationship to how to conduct a referendum campaign. It's been done in Michigan. Obviously, in 1978, it was started in the state of California with Proposition 13. It's been done for quite some time in Ohio. And so now it's coming to Indiana as going to be our modicum of choice going forward, because we really won't have any other options, I don't see at this point, unless there's some miracle that happens in relationship to the economy turning around or the way they fund public education in Indiana.
All right, thank you so much on that. I want to keep on with this conversation and do a little wrap up here. And I have a question. You know, if there was, and we'll start here with Kelly, if there was one thing that you think that students get out of specialty education that includes art and that kind of thing, what is it that you think they get out of it, and what are they going to miss with the current situation that we're in?
Well, I think they have a place to go that's outside of the regular classroom where they're still getting instruction. It's different than going to recess. It's going to a place where you're still getting formal instruction. It just doesn't feel so formal. It feels more free. And it does give the kids, like Roy said, it gives them confidence, helps them build who they are, and it helps also to give better understanding to all of the other subjects. So as far as the arts, I don't think they're quite going to be missing out yet because the arts aren't gone. I think as far as the media specialists being gone, they're going to miss out on a lot, because that was another form of instruction in reading and literacy, which is so important. So I think that they're going to be hit hard from that. I'm not sure exactly what is to come with the arts, but hopefully it will be saved before it's gone.
Okay, Roy, your comment about what it really brings to the education of students?
I think the arts offer so much. As we go forward, as we look at, the next 50 years in America, we see that, we're moving into a new age. It's no longer an industrial age or an electronic age, but it's a conceptual age. Mm-hmm. And the art students are going to be the designers and the producers of the future. And so those students will be the ones who will head our economy. So I think the arts offer a lot for our future.
John, your thoughts on that as well, and what you hope to see will come about in Monroe County per se?
Well, I think that when our board goes forward with the referendum, I hope that Bloomington and Monroe County sees the value of public education and all aspects of public education, because it does go beyond the regular classroom. And all of the things that happen in fine arts, instrumental arts, the art classrooms, the physical education areas are all instrumental in the development of a child, but in a different way. And as she was talking, particularly with the little guys, the fine motor skill development, the midline kinds of things that we talk about in relationship to effective reading strategies, eye movements, all of those kinds of things transcend and go into the regular classroom and transcend into academic achievement for kids.
Yeah.
you know, minds in motion. And we had a speaker here recently in Bloomington that talked about how aerobic activity really increases academic achievement through brain stimulation.
Yeah.
So it all interacts together, and it's all very important.
That's going to be our last word. Thank you so much. And that's our show for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Stan, thank you for your help as well.
Hey, thank you. What's this I hear about I'm needing a new co-host next month?
I know. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I really want to thank our panel of experts, though. First, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And if you have questions or comments about the show, send them to infocus@indiana.edu or go to the website at indianapublicmedia.org/infocus. And thanks so much for allowing me to help bring you InFocus as the host. This is my last show here at WTIU as I move with my family to Illinois. It's definitely been a pleasure to be a part of this show and all of WTIU, of course. Have a great night.
Production support for InFocus is provided by Smithville, a locally owned business serving central and southern Indiana since 1922 with residential and business internet, voice, and security services. Smithville, local pride, global technology. Information at smithville.net. Hoosier Energy, providing electricity for central and southern Indiana electric cooperatives and their member customers. Information at hepn.com. And by viewers like you. Thank you.